For over a century, there's been this one haunting question about the Titanic. With all the warnings they had, why on earth did it sail full speed into an ice field? Today, we're going to dig into the final hours and the single fatal choice that might have sealed its fate.
Okay, get this. Not one, not two, but 7 separate ice warnings on its final day. This wasn't some random accident or a surprise attack from Mother Nature. The crew knew the threat was out there, which makes what happened next so incredibly baffling.
So let's picture the scene. It's Sunday, April 14th, 1912. The Titanic is just slicing through the North Atlantic, pushing almost 22 knots. Everything's going great. She's right on schedule for a big, triumphant arrival in New York. But she's also steaming directly towards a massive, well-documented ice field that other ships had been radioing about all day long.
And look, these warnings weren't vague, like, hey, there might be some ice out there. No, they were super specific. We're talking about reports mentioning everything from growlers, which are about the size of a grand piano, to huge sheets of ice called floes, and of course, those very, very large icebergs. The crew knew exactly what they were sailing into.
Right, so after the disaster, the guy leading the official British inquiry was this man, Lord Mersey. And lucky for us, his private journal survived, and it gives us this incredible window into the one single question that he and really the entire investigation was completely obsessed with.
In his personal notes, Lord Mersey actually underlined this one phrase, the thing that became the absolute heart of the whole mystery: no reduction of speed. With everything they knew, all the warnings, why didn't the Titanic just slow down? To him, it just screamed negligence.
Let's just run through the evidence that was literally sitting on the bridge for the captain to see. You've got multiple, very specific warnings about the types of ice out there. You have reports of an ice field that's 4 miles wide. You have the air temperature steadily dropping, which is a classic telltale sign that you're near ice. By that evening, all 7 warnings had been received and posted. The evidence was just overwhelming.
So, if the danger was so obvious, what else was going on? Well, this brings us to one of the most powerful people on board, J. Bruce Ismay. He was the chairman of the White Star Line. He wasn't just some passenger. He was, for all intents and purposes, the ship's owner.
And his behavior on that last day, well, it raises a huge question, because one of the most critical ice warnings of the entire day somehow ended up in his pocket for hours instead of on the bridge with the other messages. You gotta ask, why?
So here's how it went down. Around 2 in the afternoon, Captain Smith gets an ice warning from another ship, the Baltic. He does his duty and shows it to his boss, Ismay. Ismay reads it and then just casually folds it up and slips it into his pocket. He just keeps it. For hours. It wasn't until that evening that the captain had to physically ask for it back so it could finally get posted where it belonged.
And this is where the main theory comes from. The thinking is that Ismay was so obsessed with getting to New York on time, making a big splash in the papers, that he didn't want anything, not even a bunch of ice warnings, to slow them down. By pocketing that message, he might have been sending a really powerful unspoken signal to Captain Smith: we stay the course and we keep up the speed.
But human decisions were only one part of this horrible equation. The environment itself was actually setting a deadly trap. What should have been this beautiful, calm night at sea was turning into the absolute perfect conditions for a disaster.
And here's the paradox. It's totally counterintuitive. You'd think a calm sea is a safe sea, right? Wrong. For spotting icebergs, it is the worst possible scenario. See, on a normal, wavy night, the lookouts can see the white foam from the waves crashing against the base of an iceberg from miles away. But that night, the Atlantic was like a sheet of black glass. There were no waves, which meant the dark, wet iceberg was practically invisible against the dark, black water.
And on top of that, just try to imagine being a lookout. Your face is getting absolutely blasted by a 25-mile-an-hour wind, it's freezing cold, and your eyes are constantly tearing up, blurring your vision while you're trying to stare into this vast, moonless darkness. The odds were just completely stacked against them.
And so, it all comes down to this. At 11:39 p.m., a lookout named Frederick Fleet finally spots it. A dark mass, darker than the water, rising up ahead. He rings the warning bell 3 times and frantically phones the bridge, shouting, "Iceberg, right ahead," and the countdown begins.
From that first shout to the moment of impact, the crew had less than a minute, just 45 seconds. 45 seconds to try and steer a ship that's over 800 feet long and weighs 46,000 tons out of the way.
And they're trying to do this while hurtling forward at 22 knots. That's about 25 miles an hour. The very speed they'd been warned about, again and again. It was just too fast, and it was way too late.
So what were they up against? Basically, a floating granite mountain. Scientists figure the iceberg weighed up to 1.5 million tons. To put that in perspective, that's like hitting 15 fully loaded aircraft carriers all at once. The ship never stood a chance.
At exactly 11:40 p.m., the unstoppable force met the unsinkable object. The iceberg didn't even hit it head-on. It just scraped along the side, and the underwater part of the berg just ripped open the steel plates. As one survivor later put it, it opened up the side of the ship like a can opener on a tin of sardines.
So we're left with this question, right? Was the sinking of the Titanic all down to the pride and pressure of one powerful man pushing for speed over safety? Or was it just a tragic, perfect storm of circumstances? A freakishly calm sea, a moonless night, and a series of critical warnings that, for so many different reasons, just tragically went ignored. The real answer, as it so often does, probably lies somewhere in the middle.